to Deep Sleep Stories. Thank you to everyone who's been listening. If these stories help you relax or fall asleep, a short review, comment, or sharing the podcast with someone who might benefit is a simple and meaningful way to support the show so that we may continue to offer it for free. Now, take a slow, gentle breath and let's begin tonight's story.
Welcome to Deep Sleep Stories, a quiet place where you can drift into rest as you ride a cozy night train all the way to Rome. Tonight, as you listen, you will be carried through soft stations and sleeping fields, past moonlit villages and distant hills, inside a warm, gently rocking carriage that is always safe, always calm, always on its way. For now, there is nowhere you need to be except here. Let your body settle where it is, as if it is being cradled by something supportive and kind. If it feels comfortable, allow your eyes to soften, maybe to close, or to hover somewhere between open and shut, as though they are looking at the inside of a dream. Draw in a slow, easy breath through your nose, without forcing anything. Feel the cool air travel in, filling your chest, expanding the space around your ribs. Then let the breath fall out again, like a long sigh, as if gravity itself is exhaling for you. Shoulders loosen, jaw unhooks just a little. The muscles behind your eyes release like curtains gently lowering on a stage. Again, breathe in gently, counting only by feeling, not by numbers, just a slow swell of air. And as you breathe out, imagine that every small worry of the day is a grain of dust carried away. On the exhale, drifting off into the distance, far from where you rest. Thoughts can still come and go, but they do not need your attention. They can pass like scenery outside a window. In your mind's eye, begin to picture a quiet station at night. The sky is a deep, velvety blue with a scattering of stars that appear to be listening. The air is cool but not cold, carrying a faint scent of stone, iron, and something warm and comforting, like freshly baked bread from a nearby bakery that has not quite closed its doors. Soft lamps cast circles of golden light on the platform, their glow smudged and gentle, as if viewed through sleepy eyes. You are here, waiting at the edge of the platform, feeling the calm hum of the night all around. A distant vibration shivers through the rails, a promise that the train is coming, calm and unhurried, ready to carry you through the night. You do not need to do anything, or remember anything, or decide anything. Just breathe and watch, and let the story take you. And now, as the scene grows clearer, the story begins to unfold. The traveler stood at the quiet station under the star-washed sky, suitcase at their feet, hands tucked in warm pockets. the night wrapped gently around their shoulders like a shawl, filled with the soft murmur of distant voices and the occasional echo of footsteps against stone. Old tiles glowed faintly beneath the lamps, and the white lines near the edge of the platform shone like slow, sleepy comets. The train arrived almost without sound. Its approach began as a low vibration, then a whisper of wheels, then the steady, comforting glide of carriages in the dark. Windows moved past, each one a small painting of lamplight and shadow, curtains drawn here, a reading lamp there, silhouettes of travelers already settling into their own quiet journeys. It was a night train, long and silver, its metal softened by the darkness. On its side, near one door, a small sign bore the word everyone knew so well, the destination that shone in the traveler's imagination, Rome. The letters seemed to glow more warmly than they should, as though the city itself were sending a welcome ahead carried on the side of the train. The door opened with a subdued sigh, and a gentle rush of warm air drifted outward. Inside, the carriage smelled of polished wood, clean linen, and something faintly sweet, like vanilla and old paper. A conductor in a deep blue uniform waited by the steps, face kind, eyes softened by years of night journeys and quiet passengers. "Buonasera," the conductor murmured with a small, peaceful smile. There was no rush in his voice, no impatience, only the feeling that everyone had all the time in the world to find their place. He glanced at the traveler's ticket, nodded, and gestured toward the interior of the train, where soft light and deeper comfort waited. The traveler stepped aboard. Immediately, the world outside felt distant, as though the station and the town and all the clutter of daytime life had moved into another layer of reality altogether. Here, inside the train, there was only warmth and silence shaped by little sounds. The faraway clink of porcelain in the dining car, the hush of footsteps along carpet, the muted thrum of the engine, steady and calm. Along the narrow corridor, light pooled from wall lamps shaded with frosted glass, turning the air a gentle, creamy gold. Doors to sleeping compartments lined the passage, some slightly ajar, revealing glimpses of tidy bunks, folded blankets, and small tables with vases of dried flowers. As the traveler walked, the train gave a subtle, reassuring sway, as if it were already rocking everyone toward sleep. Their compartment waited halfway down the carriage, a small sanctuary behind a polished wooden door with a brass handle that felt cool and solid to the touch. Inside, the space was simple yet cozy. 2 bunks, one folded and arranged as a cushioned bench, one already made up with crisp white sheets and a heavy soft duvet. A little reading lamp sat above each bed, casting gentle halos of light that did not disturb the darkness beyond. On the small table under the window, a carafe of water rested on a woven mat, 2 glasses placed beside it. Someone had left a tiny plate of butter biscuits wrapped in paper, along with a handwritten note wishing a peaceful journey and restful sleep. A small wardrobe stood in the corner, its door slightly open, revealing hangers waiting like patient hosts. The traveler set down the suitcase and sat on the bench, feeling the cushion yield with a comforting softness. The faint vibration of the engines pulsed through the floor, not loud enough to call attention, just present enough to be felt like a distant heartbeat. Outside the window, the platform extended in both directions, lamps steady, people moving in slow, unhurried motions. There was a gentle jolt, the slightest of movements, like a breath being drawn. Then slowly, the train began to glide forward. The platform drifted away, the lamps stretching into lines of light, the station walls sliding past with all their posters and signs and stories, receding into the darkness behind. The traveler leaned closer to the window. Beyond the station, the town rested under the night sky, rooftops dark and quiet, windows here and there glowing like embers. Narrow streets disappeared into shadow, and a church tower rose like a sentinel, its clock face pale and unhurried. As the train left the town, the last houses slipped away, and the world opened into wide fields. The land looked almost silver under the moon, furrows and grassy stretches melting into one another. Occasional trees stood alone in the fields, their branches thin and black against the soft sky, like ink strokes on a watercolor painting. Inside the compartment, the steady rhythm of travel began to settle into a pattern. The wheels hummed, a low, even murmur beneath everything, with a faint repeating cadence that felt like a lullaby, a gentle, distant drum beat, constant and soothing. The train swayed in small arcs, side to side, forward and back, a rocking cradle of steel and wood and dreams. The traveler poured a glass of water, noticing the way the surface trembled ever so slightly with each movement. They sipped slowly, feeling the coolness run through them, grounding them in this safe, enclosed space. Outside, the countryside passed by in long flowing lines of dark and pale fields and hedgerows and clusters of trees. Time on a night train does not behave the way it does in the busy hours of the day. Minutes stretch and soften, thinning at the edges, blending into one another. There is no hurry, no pressing schedule inside this moving cocoon, only the measured progress through the darkness, station by station, hill by hill, carrying sleeping passengers toward their destinations. The traveler settled back against the wall, pulling the soft blanket over their lap. They turned off one of the lamps, leaving only the faint glow beside the window, just enough to see the outline of the compartment, the shapes of their belongings, the gentle sheen of the polished door. Beyond the glass, stars kept silent watch over the fields. In the distance, a cluster of lights appeared, delicate as a handful of fireflies gathered together. It was a little village, resting around a small square, its houses huddled close as though sharing warmth. The train slid by at a considerate pace, not so fast as to be jarring, not so slow as to disturb the sleeping town with its presence. Sometimes, as the train curved around a bend, the traveler could see the front part of the long silver serpent, its windows glowing, its form quiet and strong as it traced its way through the dark. The rails ahead caught and reflected the starlight, stretching into infinity, a path already known and memorized. The train, it seemed, had made this journey many times, and each time it remembered the way more deeply. Hours, or perhaps something like hours, unfolded softly. The traveler rested, stretches of wakefulness weaving gently with driftings into light sleep. In the quiet moments when eyes were half open, the passing scenery felt like a series of watercolor dreams, each one fading seamlessly into the next. Mountains began to rise at the edges of the world, faint at first, then gradually more defined, dark shapes against the paler band of horizon. The train slipped between them, following a path that hugged their lower slopes, crossing small bridges over narrow rivers that shone like strips of metal in the moonlight. Occasionally a tunnel opened its mouth ahead, and the world would briefly narrow into warm, shadowed sound. Inside those tunnels, the traveler felt the train's heartbeat more distinctly, a slightly deeper echo of wheels on hidden tracks. The light inside the compartment stayed calm and steady, a warm island in a brief sea of darkness. When the train emerged again, the stars seemed even brighter, and the air outside felt crisp and clear, as if it had been freshly drawn across the peaks. In the corridor, a soft chime sounded, announcing that the small lounge at the end of the carriage was open for a short while longer. The traveler slipped on a pair of comfortable shoes, wrapped the blanket around their shoulders like a cloak, and stepped quietly out into the corridor, closing the compartment door with a gentle click. The corridor felt like a narrow river of light, carpet underfoot, muffling every step. Behind the doors, other travelers rested, a family breathing gently in synchrony, an older couple sharing a low conversation, a student sprawled out with a book still open beside them. The traveler passed them all like a respectful ghost, touching nothing, disturbing no one. The lounge at the end of the carriage was a snug little space with wide windows and a few cushioned seats. A single lamp with a fabric shade cast an amber glow across the room, drifting over the polished tables and the quiet figure of another attendant behind a small counter. The air smelled faintly of chamomile, peppermint, and lemon peel. "Would you like some tea?" the attendant asked, voice low and kind, as if matching the soft volume of the night itself. The traveler nodded, and soon a small cup of steaming herbal tea rested on the table, its surface shimmering, its scent gentle and floral. Beside the cup, a square of dark chocolate waited on a small plate, the foil around it whispering as it was unwrapped. The traveler sat by the window, cradling the warmth between both hands. Outside, the train was passing through a valley where villages were scattered like tiny constellations, each one a cluster of lights, each one a whole world of sleeping people and quiet dreams. Above them, the mountains rose higher, their peaks dusted with silver where snow caught the moon's glow. The tea soothed the traveler from the inside, warmth spreading outward, loosening every remaining knot of tension. They took their time, sipping slowly, letting their gaze wander across the drifting scenery, following the lines of roads and rivers, the edges of forests, the faint glimmer of distant lakes. Nothing demanded attention, everything was just there, gently available like pages in a book, turned by a soft breeze. After a while, the traveler thanked the attendant and carried the lingering warmth of tea back down the corridor. Their compartment welcomed them like an old friend, unchanged, waiting. The bed turned down fully now, the duvet folded invitingly. A small lavender sachet had been placed on the pillow, its scent light and comforting. The traveler slid into the freshly made bed, feeling the coolness of the sheets against their skin, the dense, calming weight of the duvet over their body. They turned off the lamp by the window, leaving only the faintest glow from the corridor beneath the door, a thin stripe of gold across the floor. Outside, the world had grown a little darker, the deepest part of night passing quietly all around. Lying there, the traveler listened to the train, the soft, continuous rush beneath them, the occasional gentle creak of wood, the subtle shift in sound when the tracks curved or straightened. Each tiny noise joined into a single comforting presence, the sound of being carried, of being looked after by something strong and sure. Thoughts came and went like faint shadows on the ceiling. Memories from the day, from other days, rose and sank without pressing, like leaves drifting in a slow current. The train's motion smoothed the edges of each thought, rounding them, softening them, until they no longer snagged on anything inside. At some point, without deciding to, the traveler slipped deeply into sleep. The train continued its measured journey, watching over them with every turn of the wheels. Fields and towns passed in silence, the night slowly giving way to the idea of morning. Far ahead, somewhere beyond, the next bend, the next valley, the next quiet station. While the traveler slept, the sky outside began to change. The stars, so bright and close earlier, started to fade, retreating gently into their hidden places. A pale, tender light appeared along the horizon, like the first brush of watercolor on untouched paper. The train glided into this soft beginning of dawn, its windows reflecting the subtle shift in colors. Inside the sleeping compartments, passengers remained wrapped in dreams and blankets, breathing evenly, unaware of the sky's transformation. The train moved gently, allowing the morning to unfold at its own unhurried pace. Eventually, the traveler stirred. Eyes opened slowly, adjusting to the dim light that seeped around the curtains. The air in the compartment felt fresh and slightly cooler, carrying a hint of the new day outside. They sat up, the duvet sliding down to gather around their waist. For a moment, they did not think of schedules or plans or what awaited them in Rome. They simply felt the lingering peace of the night's journey, like a soft echo in their muscles and bones. Drawing back the curtain, the traveler looked out and caught their breath in a quiet, private way. The train was crossing a wide plain bathed in the early light of dawn. Fields stretched out in gentle colors, soft greens, muted golds, patches of earth still dark with dew. In the distance, low hills rolled along the horizon, their outlines blurring as the sunlight grew. A few scattered farmhouses stood among the fields, thin trails of smoke rising from chimneys as the first fires of the day were lit. Birds began to trace their paths across the sky, small dark shapes moving with the certainty of those who know the morning well. The traveler dressed slowly, savoring each simple action. The feel of fabric against skin, the smooth pull of a zipper, the way socks hugged their feet. With every movement, the sense of being rested deepened, as if each muscle were waking up one by one, blinking sleepily and then smiling. The night train had held them carefully, and now it was gently handing them to the day. A light knock sounded at the door. The conductor stood outside with a small breakfast tray, a warm croissant wrapped in paper, a little jar of jam, a cup of coffee with milk, and a slice of orange that shone like a tiny sun on the plate. His smile was the same gentle smile as the night before, patient and unhurried. "Almost there," he said softly. "Rome is waking up." The traveler set the tray on the small table by the window and sat to enjoy the simple meal. Flaky crumbs fell softly onto the plate. The jam had the sweetness of ripe fruit and warm days. The coffee carried just enough strength to open the senses, but not enough to disturb the lingering stillness the night had woven. Outside, signs of the city slowly appeared at the edges of the landscape. A cluster of apartment buildings rose in the distance, their balconies dotted with potted plants and laundry lines. Roads grew busier, though still quiet, with early buses and a few cars moving along streets that curved and crossed like threads in a tapestry. The train passed over a broad river, its surface catching the light of the growing day. Bridges arched gracefully across the water, and far away, domes and towers began to take shape, silhouettes of history and stone and stories. The traveler felt a quiet sense of arrival, not sharp or urgent, but calm, like coming home after a long, refreshing walk. The closer the train came to the heart of the city, the more layers of life became visible. Cafes setting out their chairs, bakery doors opening to release fragrant clouds of warm air, street sweepers guiding their brushes along the pavements. The city was waking as gently as the traveler had, stretching into morning light. Within the carriage there was a softening of sleep as doors opened here and there, passengers emerging with tousled hair and drowsy smiles. Some carried luggage, some cradled cups of coffee. Some simply stood at windows, watching the city unfurl. Everyone seemed a little quieter than they might have been at another time of day, as if the night train had taught them something about gentleness. The train began to slow, its motion becoming a long exhale. The traveler gathered their things, placed the empty tray carefully by the door, and took one last look around the compartment. This small space had been a tiny world of its own, a moving nest cradled between night and day. As the train slipped into the great station archways and platforms unfolding outside the window, the traveler felt no rush. Even though the journey was nearing its end, its atmosphere lingered like the last vibrations of a bell long after it has been rung. The night's calm had settled deep inside where it would stay, a quiet place to return to whenever needed. The train came to a gentle stop. Passengers stepped down to the platform, feet meeting solid ground once more. Voices murmured, announcements echoed softly overhead, and the scent of the city rose up to meet them. Coffee, stone warmed by the first touch of sun, a faint trace of flowers from unseen balconies. The traveler stood there for a moment beside the train, suitcase in hand, breathing in the morning air. They felt unhurried and refreshed, as if the journey had unfolded not only through the landscape but through their mind, smoothing paths, opening spaces, leaving everything softer and clearer. Rome was there, waiting with all its streets and fountains and hidden corners, but there was no need to rush toward it. Eventually they turned and walked toward the station's great hall, disappearing into the slow flow of passengers. Behind them, the night train that had carried so many quiet dreams rested, its windows slowly emptying, its engines cooling in the growing light. Soon it would be readied for another journey, another night, another collection of travelers needing rest. Yet the essence of that gentle movement, that soft rocking through the darkness, kept traveling in its own way. It stayed in the memories and muscles of those who had slept in its compartments, in the echoes of footsteps in its corridors, in the faint scent of tea and lavender and clean linen. It lingered like a lullaby that can be recalled at will, simply by closing the eyes. And somewhere beyond the story, but also within it, another listener rests in their own quiet room. Perhaps they imagine the gentle rhythm of wheels on tracks, the glow of lamps in a night carriage, the way the world slides softly past a window while they are safe and warm inside. Perhaps they feel their own body growing heavier, as if lying on a bed in a tiny rocking compartment on its way to a peaceful place. Breath by breath, the journey of the train becomes the journey of their rest. Each inhale is like stepping aboard, welcomed by calm voices and soft light. Each exhale is like the gentle pull away from the station, leaving behind the noise of the day, carrying them into a spacious, quiet night. Little by little, thoughts grow lighter and more distant, like villages fading into the dark as the train passes by. Muscles unwind the way tracks stretch out behind a carriage, loosened, released, needing no attention. The steady rhythm of the heart becomes the sound of wheels on rails, smooth and sure, guiding them forward without effort. Now there is nothing to do but drift. The mind can rest, the body can sink deeper into the mattress, as though into a soft seat by the window, wrapped in a blanket while the world glides gently past. The cozy train to Rome continues on somewhere in the quiet landscape of imagination, always traveling through a safe, starlit night, always arriving at a peaceful morning. Whenever rest is needed, its doors stand open, its lights warm, its compartments waiting with fresh sheets and calm. Let the rhythm of that gentle journey carry you now. Let your breath stay slow and soft. Let your thoughts grow quiet and far away, like distant hills. The night is kind, and it is watching over you. Sleep can come easily like a train slipping along trusted tracks, with no effort, no doubt, no delay. Good night, dear traveler. Sleep well.